2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brandon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us. How can my relationship heal when my partner's not attracted to me? Welcome to the Real Talk Recovery Podcast with the Therapy Brothers.
We're brothers, we're therapists, and we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
All right, Tyler, before we get into that one, I do want to share an awesome review that we've gotten recently. So it says, fabulous, timely topic. And just so you know, she's talking about our episode about rebuilding trust, when you and I kind of talked through what we would do to rebuild trust. It says, this is a fabulous episode. I believe it does an outstanding job of laying out the path to rebuilding trust. This is what every betrayed partner I know would like for their husbands to do. So often the betrayer wants to jump right into improving the marriage, but fails to understand that trust is the foundation that must be fixed first. The Therapy Brothers go into what to do and what not to do. The real life examples are applicable to every couple looking to rebuild their relationship after betrayal. Thank you, Tyler and Brandon.
Love it. We love your reviews so much. We appreciate your feedback on these things. Glad. It seems like that episode we got quite a bit of feedback on, Brandon. It sounds like it hit a lot of nerves for a lot of people. So
yeah,
we do appreciate that feedback.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Brandon, let's jump right into it. We've got Nikki on with us today, and Nikki's got a great question that I think is pertinent for a lot of people. So Nikki, welcome. If you wouldn't mind, just introduce yourself, give us a little bit of backstory, whatever you feel comfortable with, and then ask your question.
Hi, I'm Nikki. I am from the Midwest, U.S. My husband and I had our D-Day in January of last year. And he was not my first husband. He was my second husband. So let me also tell you something else that I'm bringing into this. So my first husband and I divorced because he also decided that I was not sexually worth his time. He became addicted to pornography and eventually decided to have multiple affairs that he told me about before he had them. But this all happened when I had my first lumpectomy. I was diagnosed with breast cancer in my mid to late 20s. And as soon as my body changed, he became uninterested. And I felt strong enough then to move on, and that I would find someone who could still feel that way about me after all of my procedures. So I found my second husband. He and I met and we hit it off, and we had what felt like a really wonderful relationship. And everything felt good. And I went into that relationship basically telling myself, no, he feels this way about me because if I wasn't okay, he wouldn't have even started this relationship with me. But the entirety of our relationship, he had been using pornography. Even I had asked outright if that was something that he did. I'd asked multiple times, and I thought I was in a very safe relationship. But then D-Day happened, and I don't remember what we were looking for, but I picked up his phone, and down there in the little Google suggestion website was a link to a porn video. And we went through a whole thing where he said he didn't know how it got there, and then it all kind of came tumbling and dripping out over the months. I was 7 months pregnant, maybe 6, when D-Day happened. And I realized over the course of the tumble and the drips that the kind of bodies that he was attracted to, the kind of body part that he enjoyed, it obviously wasn't me. It was much younger women, like obviously women that had never had children and had their bodies changed by childbirth. Women who had never gone through procedures that like left them scarred or changed how they looked in negative ways. And it really hit me that I didn't have the kind of body or the kind of looks that he was really attracted to, because if I did, his stuff would have looked more like me. I don't know. I realized that I'm not what he wants sexually, but like I love him. We have a new baby. I have already gotten divorced over issues like this, and I can't, and I don't want to, and I just want us to move on, and I want us to be okay. But I wake up in the morning and I go into the bathroom and I see myself in the mirror. And it's like slamming my car into a brick wall every day. And I don't know how to move on from that. It's not the kind of relationship that I want in my life, to be with someone and to be intimate with someone who prefers other people so much. And I don't know what to do with that.
I'll ask you just a couple questions, Nikki. Well, how do you know the frequency of his acting out?
It was every day.
Okay.
It was every day.
What did he bring this into your marriage? So was this, like you say, every day during your marriage he's been acting out? Was he? I imagine this was long before you probably even met him, that this is a problem for him.
He said that he started when he was around 18, and he had tried to quit before, kept telling himself that he was going to quit, and then kept finding himself back at it. And I don't think it was always that frequency, but COVID hit, and COVID was really hard on us. It changed the shape of both of our jobs in a major way. And I think at that point, maybe a year into COVID, when everyone started talking about getting back to normal, but jobs were still not normal. I think it started getting worse and getting worse and getting more frequent and getting more frequent. But like I told myself when I came into this relationship that I was not gonna hold him responsible for what my ex did. And I wasn't gonna be that girlfriend or that wife that constantly checked. But after D-Day, I went into our router and I could get an idea of the pattern of how long and how often and when and what time of day. And it had become a whole lot.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So Nikki, as we kind of start to walk through this, I just want to say that, you can hear it in your voice, you can see it in your demeanor, like how much pain and suffering you're in right now. And I just want you to know that Brandon and I are both a witness to that right now. And really, really grateful that you have the courage to come on and share yourself this way today. To just kind of get a little bit more clarifying information. How long have you been married in your second marriage?
It'll be 3 years this year.
3 years. Okay. And how long was your first marriage?
It was 13 years.
13 years. Okay. 13 years in the first marriage, 3 years in this marriage. And in the first marriage, was it something that was open that your husband was doing? Was it something that you kind of had D-Days on as well with?
I got my diagnosis, and once I came home from my first lumpectomy and he saw me, he told me that he was going to start using other people.
Wow.
He wasn't attracted to me anymore, and that he didn't really want much to do with me. And I tried to fight that for a long time because he wasn't having affairs yet. So I was so intimate with him, and I thought that he would get used to me and that it would be okay. But he wasn't. I was a tool, and he would have times where he needed to watch it over my shoulder when he was with me.
Mm.
And I knew about everything. And it wasn't until he said that he was meeting people and wanted to meet people in person that I was terrified of STDs. I was still nursing a baby, trying to balance breast cancer and taking care of my kids, and I was terrified to pass an STD. So he was honest about it, but that was when it stopped.
Okay. Could I ask you just another question here, Nikki, about just thinking about yourself and the way you felt about yourself and viewed yourself? Can you kind of just give me some snapshots as to maybe pre-first marriage, how you viewed yourself and thought about yourself, how your first marriage changed that, and if your second marriage has affected that in any ways?
I got married the first time very young. We were 18 when we got married. I worked in I don't know what to call it, adult adjacent industries. I was a very attractive young woman, and I was a broke college student who needed money. So like, I don't know if I can say businesses. I worked in a restaurant, classically known for the women being skimpily dressed. I would do like bathing suit modeling gigs. I worked as a salesperson where the idea was that the salesperson was also a model and we were there to get a job done. But like, I never questioned how I looked. Like, I never thought I was the best looking woman in the world, but I always like, no, I'm good enough. I don't know whether it was my first marriage or whether it was like the lumpectomies and having two very large babies adjacent to that and just completely changing how I looked. I felt disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like if this man that had been married to me for 13 years and I'd had his children and we promised to be together forever couldn't feel that way about me, what was I gonna do? But I decided that I wasn't gonna live that way and that I was gonna move on and find someone who could. And now I'm in my second marriage, and like I don't want to leave, but also part of me knows that even if I did, I am never gonna find anyone who can feel that way about me. It's just there's no point. I'm not worth it.
Nikki, I want to ask you just a couple questions. What is something that you're just really good at? Anything? Let me ask you another question. And by the way, just to our audience, like Nikki was just shaking her head, not being able to answer that. Let me ask you another question. Are you beautiful?
I mean, I'm not, and I see myself, and I know that I don't fit that I don't fit that. And like I've known that for a while, but I thought that there are enough tastes in the world that I could check someone's boxes. And I knew that I wasn't like, I knew that I was never going to model again, if that answers your question in a specific way. But I thought that someone might find me beautiful.
What, I'm going to dig back a ways here. What was your relationship like with your dad?
I wasn't super close to either of my parents. There was some childhood abuse, some childhood sexual abuse that they knew about and were quiet about. I have not seen them in a number of years. But when I was growing up, it didn't feel like a bad relationship. It felt,
you didn't know any different.
That's my dad. Like day to day, we were a normal family.
You don't have to give too many details here, Nikki, but did the sexual abuse go on for a while?
Yeah. It did.
And mom and dad didn't protect you?
No.
Okay. So what I'm doing, Nikki, is just kind of getting a full picture of everything that's going on here. Conceptualizing this so we can actually get to really giving you some things that you can do to move forward. No, I'm not discounting what your husbands have done, not at all. What they've done is not okay. And however, what they're doing is triggering all kinds of stuff inside of you. And I'm just wondering, where is that coming from? And as we uncover this story, we can start to see where it's coming from. And I'm in no way blaming you for why you're experiencing what you're experiencing. Your husbands have broken trust. Your first husband was abusive. And I don't know about your second husband. However, there's a lot to this story here. And so that's why I want to dig back to say, okay, what is the work that Nikki really needs to do?
And I think, Brandon, just helping to kind of paint the picture the way that it's starting to unfold too, I think is really important for Nikki and also for our listeners here. And I'll just be transparent. I'm having like weird mixed feelings run through me right now. Like I'm having a ton of empathy and compassion for you, Nikki, as you're telling your story. But I also have a little thread of anger running through me for the system and systems that have been sort of like chewing you up and spitting you out. And it does it to women all the time. Let's just put the pieces together here for a second. You take a young little girl who is growing up, and inevitably she gets some type of sexual experience that she shouldn't be getting at the age she's getting. And inside of that, there's certain messages that tend to come to that little girl about her value and who she is. And so often, so many women that we work with end up in a similar situation to you, Nikki. And the core beliefs that start to come from that are that how I get my value is by being a sexual being for other people. You stack on top of that parents who didn't stand up for you and who didn't protect you. And that little girl also starts to then think that she's not chosen or cherished, and she has no safe space to protect herself. It's no wonder that that little girl grows into a woman who feels like she needs to do the work that she did by modeling and being a waitress at a certain restaurant and having to be sexy to sell something. And then stepping into a relationship with a man who's got his own sexual addiction because he lives in the same freaking stupid world that puts such a premium on it.
Tyler, slow down just for a minute. I want to highlight something about that part of the story. When you started modeling, working at the restaurant, it's okay to feel sexy and want to be sexy and all those things, but it drove home a message to you that my value and my worth and what I have to offer to this world is my physical beauty and my sexuality. And you started to really believe that. And you say, "God, maybe I wasn't the prettiest, but I certainly could hold my own." It's like, so, and you can hear like, that's where your value was, you to the point where you were even making money because you were modeling and doing that type of work. Right. And so then Tyler, I'll have you keep going.
No, you're spot on, Brandon. That's exactly right. But what I'm getting to is that on one hand, you can have a ton of empathy for the fact that, Nikki, that's the currency that you live with, because you then step into a marriage with your first husband who was completely abusive, but you didn't know that. And you were trying to perform, you were trying to be good enough. You were literally letting him have sex with you while he watched porn over your shoulder. Like that speaks something to like, man, this is how I'm going to have to be good enough. And then you step into having babies and breast cancer, and that wreaks havoc on any woman who goes through breast cancer. She has those struggles and questions about her body. It's a horrible thing that she's going through cancer, and she also has to battle, how do I look? What's happening to my body? And now you're in a current relationship with a husband who you thought was going to choose you, and he has similar issues, maybe not to the level of your first husband. So what Brandon was getting at, and this is the point, is that I don't think you're alone, Nikki, in how common the belief is that if we play in the currency of my value has to equal my sexuality, you're going to lose that game, right? Every woman, I got news for you, every woman is going to lose that game because there'll always be some other woman who is more attractive or more sexy or has different whatever, right? And so the challenge is that without knowing it, that seems to be a core belief that has really settled in for you, Nikki, as a result of your life experience. And nobody can blame you for having that belief. The question is that belief and the way that it's playing out in your life, what is it yielding for you in terms of outcomes?
I want to back up a little bit, Tyler, and just I want to reframe the question you just asked, because that question is really important. So, and maybe I'll interpret what Tyler just said, because
I did. Sorry, Brandon. I'm going to calm down and take a few deep breaths.
Take it. So you've had trauma. You've had trauma from early childhood through today, and this trauma has led you to try to survive in this world, and it's solidified certain beliefs. Beliefs around my value comes from my looks. I will never be actually chosen and loved again. Those type of beliefs are are pretty installed, right? And those beliefs are installed because they think that they're there to protect you. They're there to try to get you to try to be sexier or to disconnect totally from anybody ever again, so they think they're there to try to protect you. But what Tyler's trying to get you to look at here is, what are those beliefs actually yielding? What are and we understand why they're there. They are there for a good reason. And so maybe, I guess another question too, Nikki, is what are some of those beliefs? If we were to look at the beliefs that have come from the trauma, what are some of those things that you really do believe are true? But maybe in your head, you believe they're true, but your heart knows that they're not. What are some of those beliefs?
I always hear on the podcast that that even your, like, the term sexual worth, like even your sexual worth is not determined by your partner. And I always sit up a little straighter and get all in my chuffs about it. Because like when you marry someone, like that's the one person that you're supposed to like be sexual with. So like, shouldn't that person, like, isn't that what it means to have your sexual worth determined? Isn't that the person that determines it, the one person who is the one person you're supposed to be sexual with? So I don't know, when I don't want my sexual worth to be determined by the people at the gym who walk up to the women and hit on them. I don't want my sexual worth to be determined by the people on the street making comments. Like, it's hard because, I don't know, relationships are sexual. Like, I want a relationship with someone who looks at me and enjoys looking at me. I want a sexual relationship with someone who I want to be desired. It feels good. And like my husband is wonderful. He has done an enormous amount of work. He adores me. He loves me. He is like 10 months at this point with no relapse. He puts in work every single day to make sure that he maintains that and to make me feel loved and to communicate how much he loves me and how much he wants to be with me. But I know, like I've seen, I know what looks he actually likes. And if you don't,
Nikki, I want to ask you, does he come on to you?
Yeah.
He comes on to you?
Yes, but we have good sex.
Okay.
But I know it's not the same for him as when he was looking at the porn. I know that
it's absolutely not the same.
Yeah. Amen.
That's hurtful. No,
hey,
that hurts.
Okay,
I don't catch up.
Okay, there it is.
There it is. Yeah.
I don't match up to these doctored videos and fake women that he's lusting after online. You don't match up, Nikki, and you never will.
You never
It's
will.
true. It's true. But let's come back to what you said earlier, and what Tyler and I, him wanting you and having sex with you is not the same. It's different. You might not match up to these perfect bodies that he's been lusting after. That, by the way, he was lusting after long before he knew you.
He could have said no to me.
What's that?
He could have just said no when I wanted to date him. He could have just not asked me to marry him. He could have made a million other different choices.
So why did he?
I was crazy about him. I think it feels good to be with someone who is crazy about you, and I was crazy about him. We match up in a million different ways. We enjoy spending time together. He is my person.
Mm-hmm.
And I still wake up every day and see myself in the mirror and run my car into the brick wall in my brain. And I feel horrible because he's putting in so much work, and I still feel this way, and I still have no idea how I'm going to feel okay in the relationship when I know that I don't match the stuff that he liked to look at.
If he comes on to you every day, if he tells you how sexy you are, if he just in every way shows that he desires you, would that change how you feel in your narrative?
No.
It wouldn't, would it?
No. He's trying to save the relationship. Like, yeah, he wants to be, of course he wants to have sex. Sex feels good. Of course he wants to be intimate with me. He loves me, but it's not okay.
So Nikki, no matter what, everything that happens, the story of I'm not good enough and I'm not attractive and I'm not okay physically and sexually, that is such a solid, firm belief inside of you that you look for evidence of anything but the truth that you are attractive and that you are good enough. And so, and it makes sense, Nikki, like you're not crazy to believe that. You believe that for a good reason, especially considering who you were married to first. Right. But your brain is not letting you actually be open to the possibility that that's completely false, because it's so scary to be open to that possibility that you are desired, that you are wanted, that you are sexy, that is actually the truth. Now, I can try to talk you out of it. I can have this conversation with you all day long and it won't work. I can tell you like, hey, don't believe that, even though your trauma tells you that's true. And you'd be like, thanks, Brandon. What a waste of my time on the podcast. Right. So to address this trauma in a different way is what needs to happen. Instead of beating your head against a wall, trying to be sexy enough, or giving up and not trying at all, or wanting your husband to, it's interesting when I talk to you about your sex life with your husband and you're like, well, yeah, it's great. So there's a real discrepancy between what you say with that versus how you're feeling about yourself. Do you see that? Yeah. Which means something needs to be fixed on it in between that, inside of you. And that's where the work needs to be done. Your husband does need to do his work and does need to show up as a masculine, strong man who can love you and support you through your trauma and through your pain, and hold space for you to process those things and do that work. That's his job. What's your job, Nikki? Tyler can help you if you need his help.
I don't even know. I don't even know.
Okay. So let's.
I understand there's a disconnect there, like inside of me, that is where like the electricity is arcing and there's fritzing going on. I have no idea still, like even knowing that, like I know that I still have no idea what my job is. Like I tell like I listen to podcasts and I journal and I do recovery work for the betrayal trauma, and like nothing gets it out of my mind that I am never going to be good enough, because if I could be good enough now, I should have been good enough 2 years ago, and I wasn't, obviously. And I feel like that's where a lot of spouses must sit.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say you want me now, you say you want this relationship now, but I wasn't good enough then, because if I was, we wouldn't be here.
Yes. Okay. So Nikki, you're onto it now, and this is where I think Brandon is trying to help you go and to start to see. So there's going to be some steps that probably have to happen along the way. The first one is just to start actually seeing, in essence, the water that you're already swimming in. So I think in the last 30 minutes, we've heard the equivalent of this statement: I'm not worth it. I'm not enough. When I look at myself, I run into a brick wall. If he's doing those things and I don't measure up, that obviously means blank. I'm not good enough. That seems to be the water that you're swimming in. And because you just swim in that water every day, you can't see it. It's like there's not even the opportunity to question that belief system as being the thing at fault, because it's just been the autopilot for so many years. Right. So what I have to do is I have to actually be able to take a minute and to start to zoom out a little bit and to say, okay, I'm looking at this and I keep trying to go down the same path to get the answer I'm looking for. And the same path is I need to be a sexual being who somebody's attracted to in order to be enough. You said something earlier. Everyone wants to have their partner be attracted to them. Yes, but that's not where we get our value. Right. And so what Brandon is getting at is that you can think your way out of it, but being aware of the water is one thing. And then actually being able to step back into those dark places once you see those beliefs, namely, my value as a human being is attached to my sexuality, right? That needs to be looked at in a different way than just mentally. That needs to be looked at in some real some of the deeper kinds of work, things like EMDR or ART or the kind of stuff that we do at our retreats. Like,
it's soul-based work.
We need to get down into the depths of the soul and the heart and try to link that up with the head. And right now that's where there seems to be a disconnect is that you can go look yourself in the mirror and even repeat what me or Brandon would say, I'm beautiful or I'm smart, and you should do those things. But the real work is to link that to the actual being of who Nikki is. Like, and the longer you play the game, and this is what's interesting is that you can't even see the rules of the game you're playing yet. But the longer you play the game of I have to compare myself to every other woman that he's looked at in pornography, the longer you will suffer more, and you'll miss out on the fact that you just said, I've got a partner now who's actually working recovery. He's been sober for 10 months. He's leaning into me. He's pursuing me. He loves me. Like, all of that stuff is great stuff. That's good, healthy, happy living stuff. And all of that gets cast by the wayside because the rules of the game still are. And yet I will never be the most whatever, full-figured or beautiful or whatever woman in the world. Yeah. That's going to have to change. That can't be the currency that you continue to live with and expect it to be different. That's your work.
Nikki, I think Tyler and I, we've done enough of this work that we recognize recovery type behaviors pretty quickly and know that your husband is somewhat of a unicorn. not a unicorn, but it's, to find somebody who's willing to look within, who's willing to be humble, who's willing to do his own work. And I don't want you to sabotage that. So both two things are true. Your triggers are valid. Of why you feel the way you feel. You feel that for good reason. And it sounds like he's there to love and support you. And so, and to desire you and want you, right? And so it comes back to what Tyler was just saying. You will sabotage this unknowingly and automatically unless you can see this water that Tyler's talking about. And it's kind of paradoxical. It feels backwards of, I'm supposed to almost embrace my shadow. I'm supposed to like really look at these beliefs that I think are really good for me as problematic. These beliefs about myself that I think are there to protect me deep down within myself. I need to be able to know those beliefs, accept that they're there, but then choose not to stay with them and open myself up to other possibilities. That's how consciousness happens, is you have to go into it and know it and then open yourself up to something different. And that's what EMDR, ART, experiential therapy will help you do, things like that. But you won't even want to do those things, Nikki. You'll want to stay stuck. I promise you, if you don't have the courage to be uncomfortable enough to get conscious like that, because it's scary, right? So I hope, Nikki, what you're not feeling is we're not trying to reprimand you. No. We're not trying, not at all. We're trying to empower you to look within and say, okay, I'm not going to spend the rest of my life under this system anymore. I'm going to open myself up to a different way of thinking so that I can create different results in my life. Right? Does that make sense,
Nikki?
It does. That's really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That's the work of a lifetime in some ways. Yeah. And the work is hard itself, because in order to get better, what Brandon's saying is that there is a cave that you have to go into. There's the cave of your childhood sexual abuse, and there's the cave of having parents who didn't protect you, and there's the cave of a first marriage with a guy who had no business being with a woman like you, and you're going to have to face all of those things with a curious and open and compassionate mind for yourself. But if you'll do those things, Brandon and I see this happen, there is a life on the other side of where you've been and where you're living that is vibrant and colorful and beautiful, and that accepts Nikki with all of her beautiful scars exactly the way she is. It's just work, and it's hard. You're right.
Nikki, do you believe in God?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you say that's really hard, but like, what is God doing here with you?
I don't know.
Why have you had to go through all of this stuff?
I don't know.
That question is actually really important to get an answer to, because there is an answer. God is working. Go ahead, Nikki.
I tell myself, well, this is my belief that God it's the thing that you don't want people to say when something horrible happens. Like, God did this for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I often balance a set of beliefs in my mind where, yes, everything happens for a reason, and often we're not going to know that reason for a long time or while we're here. or before Jesus comes back. We're not going to know what the reason was. But also, I can't bring myself to believe that what happened to me as a child was something that God did, or something that he like planned and pointed at and said, yes, that little girl.
Right.
I like sometimes crap just happens because the world is full of sin.
Right.
Yeah.
And because we are fallen.
Yeah.
And I have tried on purpose, which is probably dumb, but I've tried on purpose to not even, I don't want to think about whether God put this in my life or whether this series of events is something that he has designed in order to do something.
Nikki, here's the thing. It's like you can believe whatever way you want to with that. The fact of the matter is to think that God, it was a part of what happened to you as a child. That's a hard one to grapple with.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now you are where you are, and here you stand with these experiences in your life, and you can say, these things will help me grow and move forward and find my life purpose, or these things will take me out. And you can choose to turn these things into a blessing in your life, because they will propel you into more strength. Or you can choose to let these things, like give them all the power, and to take out the beautiful soul and person that you are, that needs to be on this world right now for God's purposes. Right. So I know that's easy for me to say. Go ahead, Tyler.
Could I just add to that too, Nikki? I'm not saying this is right. This is something you get to wrestle with and settle in for yourself. But there's a belief, I don't believe that God said, hey, that little girl, I'm going to make sure she gets childhood sexual abuse. I happen to personally believe that God operates more from a place of having the world operate, and you can still find him in the details because he's constantly pursuing each of our hearts. That's my own personal belief. And there's a belief out there that goes along with that says that whatever place we're wounded in is the place where God will pursue our hearts. And so this little girl's belief that maybe only she is valuable if she's sexual enough or beautiful enough, maybe God's going to pursue you through that wound until you're willing to give yourself to him, and he can show you that you're more than just those things.
But Tyler, why would I when I had a father who didn't protect me? Why would I when I had a father who neglected me and wasn't there for me? So it's extremely hard.
It's hard work there because there's other things wrapped up in it. I'll give you kind of a personal example of this. Nikki, I'm the oldest boy in our family. I'm also, I would argue that in our family, I'm probably the best athlete in our family.
That's debatable.
Yeah. I was given certain physical gifts. I shoot a basketball better than anyone in my family. I run faster than everyone other than my little brother. I play with more heart than most of them do.
I catch more fish.
All that stuff.
That's all that matters.
The point of this is that growing up the way that I did, I learned something for myself. And that was that my physical performance and my ability to be a good athlete actually was where I found a lot of my value in. I made my friends that way. I found my value in that. I could find success in those ways. And come age 36, I find out that I've got, deformed hips, and I have the hips now of a 65-year-old man, and I have to have a double hip replacement. What happens to my belief system when I've lived my whole life thinking that I am a physical body and an athlete, and that's what my identity is? And now I'm a 44-year-old man who's running around with 2 titanium hips, and I can't move like I could anymore. I hesitate to even play basketball anymore. What does that do to my belief system about myself? It rocks it.
Yeah.
And I have to question God and say, God, like, why would you do this to me? Like, what, but actually what I believe and what I've come to the conclusion of over the last several years is that God has been trying to teach me that I am much more than just a physical body. That was part of me. And my body's still a miracle, and science is amazing, and I can still do some fun things, but I am so much more to God than just my physical body. And I believe that God's pursuing my heart through this challenge of having to let go of what used to be my ability to be a good athlete. And maybe there's something inside of that for you to consider or to contemplate that could liberate you from this game that you've been playing in for so long. So anyway, Nikki, I know we're running short on time. I just want to say, I know that in this call, there's been a lot of emotion that's come up inside of you. And I hope that you'll end this call knowing that Brandon and I are both 100% supportive of the journey that you're on. We're grateful for your willingness to come on here. And please go back and listen to this episode when it comes out in about 2 to 3 weeks, because you're going to be able to hear it with a clearer brain than you even heard it today. And there's a lot of good stuff in it. Okay.
Yeah. And I want to just say before we let you go, I know we're out of time too, but just go love yourself today. Go take care of yourself. You did something very vulnerable today, and you got some emotion out. I was talking to my daughter yesterday who was really emotional, and I was saying, just stop and love yourself. Just stop and take care of you. You know what, Nikki? Go treat yourself today like you are every bit as beautiful as you want to be, because you are. And so take some time for you. I know you have young kids. You deserve it. You earned it, and you earn that. You deserve that every single day. Okay. All right, Nikki, thanks again.
Thank you.
You guys, if you found this helpful, and if you appreciate Nikki's vulnerability, please leave a review and mention this episode, and just thank her for her vulnerability and courage to come on. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys.